Have you ever experienced the feeling of thinking about someone and just a few seconds later they text you? Or when you're struggling with a difficult decision, suddenly hearing a phrase on the street, in a book, or even in a song, and it feels like it's speaking directly to your heart? Are all those things just coincidences? Or is there some hidden order operating behind the veil of this reality? Carl Jung, the renowned psychoanalyst, called it synchronicity, meaningful coincidences, signs that the universe sends to guide you on your life's journey. Not everyone sees it. Most of us live as if everything is just a coincidence. But once you understand this secret language, the world around you will never be the same again. Synchronicity is not superstition. It is a natural part of how the universe reflects your inner state. When your mind changes, the outside world also begins to speak. And the strange thing is, those signs only appear at the moment you need them the most. Jung believed that synchronicity is the invisible connection between the inner world and the outer world, between your mind and the entire vast energy field of the universe. In this video, we will not only talk about this concept abstractly, I will take you through Carl Jung's most famous story, the legend of the Golden Scarab, where synchronicity appears so clearly that even an atheist analyst would be astonished. And above all, I will show you how to recognize these signs in your own life. If you have ever felt something calling you, an undercurrent that always appears at the right moment, perhaps you are standing at the threshold of awakening, and synchronicity is the first key. Listen very carefully, because from this moment, the signs will start to become clearer than ever. Synchronicity is one of the most mysterious and controversial concepts that Carl Jung ever introduced throughout his career. In the modern world, where everything is analyzed based on logic, science, and numbers, synchronicity resembles an underground stream flowing beneath the surface, gentle yet steadfast, reminding humanity of the existence of things beyond ordinary calculations. According to Jung, synchronicity is meaningful coincidence, external events occurring simultaneously with a person's inner state, but cannot be explained by ordinary cause and effect relationships. In other words, these are moments when the external world reflects your inner mental state, as if there is an invisible connection between your mind and the universe. What makes synchronicity different from random coincidences is the feeling of having a message. It's not just a simple occurrence. It's that event happening precisely at the moment you need it most, carrying a meaning that only you can truly comprehend. Carl Jung experienced one of the most famous synchronicity events while he was treating a patient with an extremely logical and dry mindset. This woman recounted a strange dream where she saw a golden scarab beetle. In ancient Egyptian culture, the scarab beetle is a symbol of rebirth and transformation. While she was telling that story, a faint sound came from the window, and at that very moment, a golden beetle flew into the room. For Jung, that was synchronicity, an event so coincidental that it is hard to believe, occurring at just the right moment to break through the woman's cold, logical facade, opening a new door for her into the world of the unconscious. But synchronicity doesn't just happen in grand stories or psychological therapy sessions. It appears in your everyday life. When you are confused, in need of an answer, and suddenly someone says exactly what you need to hear. When you are standing at a crossroads, and a song, a book, an image feels like a mysterious message meant just for you. That is the language of synchronicity. Jung believed that the world is not only governed by cause and effect, but also by the principle of correspondence, where the universe and the human mind are two mirrors reflecting each other. When you change internally, external signs will also appear to resonate with you. This does not mean that you control everything, but it affirms a truth. You are an inseparable part of this universe as a whole, and that whole is also listening to you. The crux of synchronicity is not to seek out every strange event to assign meaning to, but rather to learn how to listen, observe, and recognize the signs that truly resonate with one's soul. Jung called this meaningful coincidences, the intersections between the material and spiritual worlds. When synchronicity occurs, it is not a coincidence, but a reminder from the deepest part of you, from the part connected to what many cultures call the universe, God, or cosmic consciousness. When you truly understand what synchronicity is, you will no longer feel lonely, because everything around you, from the smallest events, has the potential to become a message, a guiding compass leading you back to your true path. And that's just the beginning, because the most important thing is how to recognize those signs and how to use them to accompany your own awakening journey. The first thing to understand clearly is that not every coincidence is synchronicity. The world operates based on probability and chains of random events. You think about someone and they text you. Sometimes it's just a coincidence, but sometimes it's a message. So how to distinguish? Carl Jung pointed out that coincidence, a random occurrence, is when two or more events happen at the same time, but there is no real meaningful connection between them. Those are simply events that occur based on probability, without bringing you any special feeling. It's like when you walk past a store and suddenly hear a familiar song. But if that song doesn't carry any message, doesn't evoke emotions or connections in your mind, then it's just a coincidence, nothing more, nothing less. But synchronicity is completely different. It happens right at the moment you need it the most, and it always carries a unique message just for you. That message may not be clear right away, but your intuition will know. It's a slight shiver, a feeling of strangeness, a feeling of it can't be a coincidence. Imagine, you are in a difficult phase, not knowing which path to choose in your career. Your mind is in turmoil, and no one can give you satisfactory advice. Then one day, you open any book, and on the very first page, you read the line, "The only true path is the one you fear the most." At that moment, your whole body felt like it was electrified. That is no longer a coincidence. That is synchronicity, the universe speaking, reflecting your inner state to the outside world, guiding you with its unique language. Jung believed that synchronicity appears most often when a person is on the threshold of change, when their inner self is yearning for transformation but doesn't know where to start. And the world, like a mirror, begins to send back small signals, subtle hints, to push you towards the path your soul truly wants to take. Another difference between synchronicity and coincidence is the frequency and intensity. Synchronicity events often do not appear in a flood. They appear at the right time, in the right place, at the right moment, and sometimes repeat as if the universe is patiently reminding you of something. There are people who have recounted seeing a number, a symbol, or a name appearing everywhere, on license plates, invoices, billboards, all seemingly forming a meaningful chain of interconnected messages. Meanwhile, ordinary coincidences appear randomly, sporadically, and do not leave any sense of urgency or message. That is the most important difference. Synchronicity has a purpose. Coincidence is not. But the interesting thing is, no one can teach you how to distinguish that except yourself. This is the language of the soul, not of logic. Your soul will know when it is synchronicity. It is not in the intellect, but in the deep inner feeling. So, what happens when you start to notice synchronicity? The world will gradually become more vibrant. You will feel like you are participating in a game larger than yourself. And at that moment, you enter a state of co-creation with the universe. Everything you think, everything you feel, begins to create gentle reactions around you. Not always clear, not always logical, but you'll know when it comes. And that is the core difference. Coincidence leaves curiosity. Synchronicity leaves a sense of awakening. When you recognize those signs, it means you are ready to embark on a new journey. A journey in which the universe is no longer something foreign outside of you, but a silent companion, always listening to every breath and every deepest desire in your heart. Carl Jung did not stop at theorizing synchronicity. He recounted a real experience, which later became regarded as the most classic story of synchronicity, the story of the golden scarab. This was the moment that completely changed Jung's perspective on the connection between the mind and the physical world. The incident occurred while he was working with a female patient, a very intelligent and sharp individual, but extremely rigid in her rationality. This woman has many psychological issues, but she always uses her analytical intellect to reject any deep emotions. She seems to have built a solid wall around herself, not allowing any spiritual or irrational experiences to touch her world. That makes the therapy process stagnate. Jung understood that without a strong enough event to break through that layer of defense, she would never be able to truly heal. And then the unimaginable happened. During a therapy session, she began to recount a strange dream. In that dream, she received a gift, a golden scarab. Just at the moment she mentioned that golden scarab, there was a light knock on the office window. Jung stepped closer and was surprised to see a beetle flying into the room. But the special thing is, it was a beetle with a shimmering golden hue, extremely rare in that area. And it appeared right in the winter, when such insects should have completely disappeared. Jung gently picked up the beetle and handed it to the girl, saying, "Here is your golden scarab." That moment was like a strong blow to the facade of rationality she was trying to build. She was stunned, and that absurd coincidence opened the first crack in the cold wall surrounding her. A symbol that appeared in the dream was immediately reflected in the real world. It couldn't possibly be just a coincidence. From that moment on, she began to soften, opening up more to the inner emotional world. And the miracle is that this small yet significant event helped her begin the true healing process. Carl Jung called it a perfect synchronicity, because it encompasses all the elements: the coincidence in time, the symbolic connection, and most importantly, the profound impact on the inner perception of the witness. But that story didn't just stop at saving a patient. It was the key for Jung to understand that this universe is not just a cold mechanical machine. Behind the veil of logic and science lies a wave of invisible connections, operating based on meaning rather than just conventional cause and effect. You can sit there and analyze it in every way. Well, maybe the bug was attracted by the light, or the temperature in the room made it fly in. But it was precisely the dream with the exact image of a golden beetle, and the rare appearance of that creature at the exact moment needed, that created the perfect irrational combination, something that only synchronicity can produce. What is the real message of this story? Synchronicity is not meant to prove anything to others. It is a private dialogue between your soul and the universe. Outsiders might consider it coincidence, but for you, it is the clear whisper of an invisible world trying to guide you along the path meant just for you. And from then on, Jung always affirmed one thing: when you start living authentically with yourself, When you confront your deepest fears and desires, the universe will continuously send you meaningful coincidences. Those messages are not meant for anyone else, they are meant just for you. The yellow bug is just a symbol, but on your journey, those golden bugs can be a song, a phrase, a name, or a glance. The universe has countless ways to send messages. Your task is simply to open your heart to receive.
So why is synchronicity so important? Not just because it is interesting or intriguing. Synchronicity is important because it awakens a fundamental truth that most of us have forgotten. You are not alone on this journey. In the modern world, we often get caught up in the fast-paced rhythm of life, completely controlled by logic and analysis, and begin to believe that everything that happens is merely random. But synchronicity comes as a secret reminder that there is a deeper layer in this reality, a layer where you and the universe are always in dialogue with each other. Carl Jung understood that when people gradually lose connection with their innermost selves, they also lose the ability to listen to the subtle messages from the surrounding world. They live in a state of isolation, separated from the great flow of the universe. And it is synchronicity that serves as the bridge for them to return, to feel that this world is not cold, not indifferent as they once thought. When synchronicity occurs, it's like a greeting from the universe sent to you. It says, "I know you are here. I know you are searching, and I am with you." The profound importance of synchronicity lies in the fact that it is not just a beautiful random phenomenon, but a sign that you have entered a state of co-creation. You are no longer living passively. Instead, you are actively sending signals out, and the world is responding to you with meaningful events. That's when you start to understand that reality is not something fixed. Reality reflects your inner mind and emotions. Try to think back to the important moments in your life. Is it that when you fall into despair, the world seems to close off, everything becomes unclear, and nothing progresses? But then, when you decide to change, when you start listening to the silent call within your soul, strange opportunities begin to appear. An old friend gets in touch. A book falls right into your hands. A new door suddenly opens, and no one can explain why it coincides so perfectly. That is the sign that you have entered the intersection between personal consciousness and the universe. And once you recognize that principle of operation, you will never feel alone again. Everything starts to become a game, where you and the world dance together to an invisible, wordless music, but incredibly real. The wonderful thing is, the more you pay attention to synchronicity, the more you see it appearing. Not because the world suddenly becomes more magical, but because you have changed. You have opened the door to intuition, to sensitivity to subtle signals. You have stepped out of the rigid shell of analysis and logic to touch the most fragile yet powerful part of yourself, the connection to the whole. And when you live in that state, life is no longer a series of meaningless, mundane events, but becomes an adventure journey where even the smallest signs can lead you to a new door. Jung never said that synchronicity would bring you all the answers, but he believed that it is a compass for souls searching for their true selves. It not only helps you feel special, but it also activates the deep intellect within you, forcing you to stop and ask yourself, why is this happening to me right now? I need to understand something here. Synchronicity is the heartbeat of a living universe, not a cold machine. And when you listen to that heartbeat, you will know that you are never lost. And then, one day, when you encounter another coincidence, you will no longer just smile briefly, but will softly whisper in your heart, "I know, I have heard you." And that was the moment the world truly began to change.
There is a truth that few people realize. Synchronicity does not just happen to pass by your life by chance. You can completely invite it, like inviting an old friend to visit. But the first thing you need to understand is that synchronicity is not something you can control with reason or force with desire. It's like an invisible wave, only appearing when you are still enough to feel it and open enough to receive it. So how can we invite synchronicity into our lives? The first step is to listen to yourself. Don't seek synchronicity outside before you truly listen to the silent voice within. The more you connect with your intuition and your own truth, the easier synchronicity will appear. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." Those who look outside are dreaming, but those who look within are awakening. It is in that inner silence that you begin to hear the whispers from the invisible world around you. The next step, you need to let go of excessive control. The paradox of synchronicity: you can't sit down and say, "I want synchronicity to happen right now." But you can open your heart to embrace and let the flow of events come in its own way. It is a combination of clear intention and relaxed trust. Another way to invite synchronicity is to ask open-ended questions to the universe. Don't ask for a specific answer, but whisper in your mind, "If this path is right, send me a sign." But then you need to be sharp enough to see that sign when it comes, even if it takes a very ordinary form. A fleeting conversation, a billboard on the road, or even just a thought suddenly appearing in your mind. Additionally, keeping a journal is also a powerful method. When you start recording the signs of synchronicity happening in your life, you will be surprised to realize that they occur more often than you think. And the more you pay attention, the recovering synchronicity becomes more frequent, as if the universe is responding to your enthusiasm. Another indispensable factor is the attitude of gratitude. Gratitude is not only for the good things that happen, but also for the challenges. Sometimes an event that seems unfortunate is actually the missing piece that leads you to true synchronicity. The universe does not operate according to the good-bad standards set by humans. It operates in the way that is most suitable for the development of your soul. Ultimately, the most important thing is patience. Synchronicity is not a tool for you to quickly get what you want, but rather it is the language of the universe, something that only appears when you live in tune with your own rhythm. Remember, synchronicity is not just a gift from fate elevated by destiny. It is a signal reflecting the changes from within you. When you live authentically, when you dare to let go of the masks, when you walk with an open heart and awakened mind, synchronicity will come to you like an old friend, smiling and saying, "I have always been here, just that you've never really seen me." From now on, your life will no longer be a series of meaningless events. Every step, every word, every encounter carries an implicit message. And when you start living with that sensitivity, you will realize life has never been random. It is always a conversation between you and the universe.
Have you ever wondered why some people seem to always live in the flow of strange coincidences, while others never see a single sign? The secret lies in inner balance. When you start living authentically,
When the inner conflicts no longer pull you in different directions, that is when you enter the flow of synchronicity. It is not a miracle, nor a reward for the lucky ones. That is the law of nature, like the reflection on still water. When your inner self is pure and serene, no longer disturbed by fear or unconscious desires, synchronicity in life will begin to appear with astonishing frequency and clarity. The ancients called it, "A calm mind brings a calm world." Jung called it meaningful coincidence. As for you, you are the root cause of all those signals. When you still have doubts inside, still struggle, still waver between many paths, synchronicity will come like fragmented pieces, hard to assemble into a complete picture. But when you stop searching outside, when you dare to turn inward, dare to face both the darkness and light within yourself, that is when the universe begins to respond to you with its wondrous whispers. You will start to notice repeating numbers, strangers' words echoing your thoughts, symbols, familiar images suddenly appearing continuously like a code that only you can understand. It's not because the world is playing tricks on you, but because you are entering a state of resonance with a wave level greater than yourself. Carl Jung once said that synchronicity is where the mind and matter meet. It transcends reason, transcends logic. That is the language of the soul. And that language can only be heard when you stop running away from yourself. You don't need to try to seek synchronicity. You don't need to beg for it to appear. You just need to live true to your true nature, and synchronicity will find you. That's not magic, that's the truth. If you are hearing these words, perhaps you have felt it before, even if just briefly. Remember that feeling. Don't doubt anymore. You are not alone. The world is always whispering to you, but to hear it, first you must listen to yourself. If these things resonate in your heart, leave us a signal to let us know you are here. Share this message with those who need it. And always remember, synchronicity is not a miracle. It is the exact reflection of the true person you are becoming. The Alchemist's wisdom welcomes you back to your most authentic self.